yes, another video against the FIA. But what did they do this time to deserve one? Well, a series of actions that were really dangerous for marshals, drivers and fans, and a series of events that could have easily ended up with one less driver on the grid. Now that we've got you hooked, let's get right into the actual facts. It's no wonder that F1 fans all over the world are on many occasions against what the FIA says and how the rules play out on track. This number of fans might be big or small depending on the dimensions of the accident, but it's not really the FIA's fault. After all, in every sport, fans of certain teams and athletes are against what the referees say. But what the FIA has done during recent races has really showed us that they probably have no idea what their job is supposed to be. Let's look at some examples, shall we? First, let's start from the easiest one on the drivers. Then we'll explain our way up the list. During the Singapore Grand Prix, first of all, the FIA didn't force the drivers to start the race with full wet tyres, which increased the risk of accidents happening, and that's exactly what happened. During the race, 5 safety cars came out. Although Marina Bay is a street circuit, Marshals were really fast at removing debris and cars, so the race was able to continue every single time. The controversy came when Sergio Perez, leader of the race in most of the safety car restarts, left a gap of more than 10 car lengths between him and the safety car, gaining an advantage for which in the first occasion he got a reprimand. And remember this as it will be useful later in the video. And then for the second one, got a 5-second time penalty, despite which he won the race by over 2 seconds. Of course, the fact that there were many safety cars is not the FIA's fault, but still it seemed pretty unfair to most fans giving Perez such a small penalty for an infraction he willingly did twice, ignoring the rules for who knows what reason. He says it was because due to the spray the safety car was launching at him, he wasn't able to see properly, so he backed out just a little bit. But he could have probably just moved a bit to avoid getting hit by the water, and that would have been the end of it. So it's still very unclear if that gave him an advantage during the restart. Then, the second episode is, of course, what happened at Monza. This has remained in the hearts of many fans, especially Tifosi ones. You probably remember what happened, but just to quickly refresh your memory, Daniel Ricciardo's car suddenly stopped with just 5 laps to go in a point of the track where rescues are pretty difficult. The FIA decided to just wave a single yellow flag in that sector for almost 2 laps. Then, right after the leader Max Verstappen passed the pit exit lane, the safety car got put on track and drivers behind it lined up, while the 2 front runners tried to go as fast as they could to catch the queue. They didn't manage to do so since the safety car was going around the circuit like it was racing, and sadly, the race ended under safety car. What's worse is that a tractor, well, not really a tractor, more a tow truck, was on track with the other drivers while they were going at high speeds, and no one was notified of that. It was dangerous for both the drivers and the marshals, but the most important controversy was around the safety car end. Then again, this time in the US, when Lance Stroll making Alonso's car become a rocket after the first safety car restart. This was a tricky one, since the penalty was given to the wrong person. Although Stroll was given a 3-place grid penalty in the next race, the Mexican Grand Prix, since he had been the one causing the collision by moving at the last second while Alonso was alongside him, the Alpine driver was the most punished one. He was in fact given a 30 seconds time penalty for driving without a mirror, since it had fallen off on the straight after the accident, leading his comeback from 17th to 7th with the damaged car and a heck of a backache after the impact to be completely useless. The penalty was requested by Haas, which, by the way, what the hell did they have to do with this? Going back on topic, the stewards that analysed the footage thought that driving without a mirror and leaving it on track for the rest of the race was something that was against the sporting regulations. They gave the 30 seconds penalty. Had it been a smaller penalty, since it was something the Alpine team had no way of fixing during the race and fans would have probably said nothing, but the fact that the penalty dropped the driver over 5 positions behind meant that there was surely not going to be a protest, and that is exactly what happened. The team requested the penalty to be removed, and their argument was because it was given too late. Apparently there is a 30-minute time limit after the race during which teams can ask stewards to give penalties for what is thought to be against the rules, and Haas didn't respect this rule. This clown-to-clown communication worked out, and the penalty was removed. Asking yourself why it was given in the first place if the 30 minutes already passed? Well, to put it simply, stop. Alonso's 7th place finish was reinstated, and Alpine was given back their 6 points in the Constructors. What's funniest about that race is that every 30 seconds, the message "penalty given to Gasly" appeared on screen. We won't go into detail on what happened during that race for car number 10, but just know that during the weekend, Pierre was given 2 penalty points, and guess what? A 5-second stop and go penalty for leaving more than 10 car lengths between him and the safety car at the restart. Sound familiar? But why did the FIA not just give him a reprimand this time? We don't really know. Fun fact, Gasly was given 10 seconds more after failing to serve his penalty correctly. Lastly, the episode that made the rules change and all media shake in anger. At the 2022 Japanese Grand Prix, after Carlos Sainz had crashed into the barriers and the safety car got out, the drivers sped up on track to catch the cue. In particular, Gasly, yes, him again, had to pit after an ad board flew on track after their Ferrari's collision with the barriers. The mechanics removed the panel and changed his front wing, and then when he came back on track, he was naturally going at moderate speed to catch the grid. The problem occurred when, exactly where Carlos had crashed into the barriers, a crane was positioned partially on track, exactly where the corner exit was. On the radio, Gasly was furious, angry about how he narrowly avoided an incident with the tractor, since it was right in the way and nobody had told him about it being there. There were many discussions following this race between those who thought it was Gasly's fault for going too fast under red flag, and those who said that what the FIA had done was unacceptable. The truth is that even though Gasly was going pretty fast, bringing such a vehicle on track is something that should have required a lot more coordination during the race, as it is extremely important that drivers are kept away from that machinery, since it already happened in the past that a driver crashed into a rescue vehicle, losing his life. So it's essential to change the sporting regulations. The rules were updated, so now every time a rescue vehicle arrives on track, drivers are informed via radio to make sure that circuits remain secure places to race at. What do we learn from all this? That the FIA hates Pierre Gasly. No, seriously, he is risking a race ban due to his 8 penalty points. Just another infraction could cost him a full weekend, and at this level, this kind of things are unacceptable. The last one of his penalty points will expire in October 2023, so it's safe to say that he will be sure to drive as cleanly as possible to avoid missing a race, at least until May of next year when 2 points will be taken away from him. We also learned that the FIA needs a huge update in the judging as soon as possible, but who cares about that? I know we're all here for that Gasly drama. So what do you think? Does the FIA really hate its drivers, or are they just not able to do their job? Will we see any update from the Federation on how races are managed? Let us know with a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, because at 10,000 subscribers, we're going to become FIA stewards to give Gasly the highest number of penalties possible. No, not really, but you should subscribe anyways.